Hi everyone, SaneMain here. This video is brought to you by a donation from Mr. Anonymous, and here's what he has to say. I want to say thank you for opening up my eyes and helping me leave a disastrous, loveless marriage that I was stuck in for 26 years. You saved my life. I met her at church. I was 21 and she was 19. She was a virgin, and I know this because she bled the first time we did the horizontal mambo. She wouldn't kiss me for the first 2 weeks we were dating, so I thought maybe I had actually had a pretty good woman there. But I was young and stupid and didn't know anything because soon after that 2 weeks, we had sex and continued to have sex for a year. During that time, I went about my business and she followed. She had issues with her mother and didn't live at home, so I asked my parents if she could move in with us. And they said yes. Lots of sex ensued, but also lots of weirdness. She wound up stealing money from my sister who had cancer and racked up my grandmother's credit card bills without her knowing and got arrested. You'd think that would be enough to set off the red flags, but when someone is sucking your willy and giving you BJs on demand like Netflix, you miss things like that, especially when you're young. One day she was acting funny and I pressed her on why, and she told me that she was pregnant. I've now found out that most people thought she was pregnant on purpose, but again, sex on demand had me blind. Being part of the church, the shotgun wedding happened even though I did not want to. I told her I actually did not want to get married, but she called my father, who then proceeded to tell me that I needed to do the right thing. He regrets ever telling me that now. I was really not happy being married and cheated on her with someone who had a nicer personality, and I did like. And then the guilt killed me and I told her, which made things horrific for the rest of the marriage. Every time I tried to leave, she got pregnant, so I ended up with 3 boys. From the time I cheated on her, it's just crazy shit nonstop. She had anger issues and what seemed like, to quote her grandma, 2 personalities. And neither one was nice. None of my friends liked her, but they tried their best to be friendly, but most of them disappeared. Around 1998, I got MS, and had to go on disability for a short bit of time. I went back to work in late 1999, but the MS came back in 2004. So I had to go back on disability, but when I reapplied, I was denied, because they'd been paying me disability for the past 4 years, and she was in charge of the money and collected it without telling me. I wound up owing them $45,000, which I'm still paying back today. In 2006, we separated for 2 months, and in that time she got involved with a guy from work who did threesomes with her. Oh, I know this because I saw the pictures. She also got pregnant. At this point, I was 36 and living with my mom and dad, which is not a good thing, and I didn't want her raising my boys by herself. So I told her that I would raise the little girl as my own, but I made her promise to not get fat if I stayed. Time went by and she was arrested for assaulting a guy that told her to F off on the street when we were driving. She literally stopped the van and ran over to him and punched him. She was the only one working and taking care of the kids because of the sickness. So then I got injured at work and we got evicted from my house that we were living in. We were lucky enough to get into a rent-to-income handicap apartment. By this point, the boys were in their 20s, so we moved in, just me and her and the girl. It was at that time I discovered SaneMain on YouTube, and the scales fell off my eyes. I saw everything. She was horrible with money and she got fat. I had a hard time getting it up because of her fat. Keep in mind that she was 95 pounds when we got married, and now she was well over 200. So I was relentless because she was not upholding her end of the bargain. I'm sure she would have left, but what choice did she have but to stay? I took over the money and all of a sudden all her money problems disappeared. I lost weight. I'm 6'5", 170 pounds. Changed my diet to carnivore and all my old confidence started to come back, and her resentment of me and what she called my God complex increased. What I didn't know was that at the time I took over the money, she put in a transfer to another unit without me. So about 18 months passed from where I took over the money, and one day I was rolling by her tablet and something in my head said, "Look at it." So I did. The first thing I found was pictures of her nipples being sent to some dude on Facebook Messenger in a conversation about her new house that she was about to move into. So I took a picture of it and sent it to her in a text message asking, "What the F?" and she never answered. So when I got home, I threw her out. She took the girl and left. A month after she left, I found out 9 months before, she fudged the numbers on my taxes and collected almost $10,000 into her bank account. She's been gone now 7 months. I'm all alone in a huge 2-bedroom apartment. It's handicap accessible with a roll-in shower, lower counters, air conditioning, and big bay windows. I'm a tad lonely, but the happiest man on the planet. When you're young, the little head likes head more than the big head likes to think. So be careful so you don't wind up looking like a dink. Cheers. The way you also saved my life is by convincing me of my keto and carnivore diet. I don't always eat meat. I get allergies when I eat carbs, or they get me a lot more sensitive to my allergies. I barely notice allergies when I'm on keto. The way it saved me is more metaphorical in a way. On carbs, I get too sloppy with my economy. I get into debt and can't focus on almost anything. It makes me waste more money. It makes me do things that are all about short-term reward. I've also been diagnosed with ADD, but all those personality traits disappear when I go off carbs. I might have ended up completely broken in deep debt. That's ruining my life, and going keto saved me. Well, Mr. Anonymous, thanks for the donation and horror story with nipples that's your ex-wife. I'll get to my thoughts about your story in a moment. But first, let me tell everyone about today's sponsor, the Brave Browser. Zuck the cuck drinks water like a duck, but he also drinks your data. So tell him and Google to shove your data up their schwing-schwangs by downloading the Brave Browser. It's free, blocks online advertising, and protects your privacy and data from evil tech companies. You only see ads if you want to see them, and you get cryptocurrency for your attention. Don't let Zuck use you to make a buck. Download Brave by clicking on the link down below. Anyways, now back to the video. I'm glad I could save your life by you kicking that skank out of your apartment. I'll also quickly discuss how I saved your life by leading by the example of keto, and I'll get to my thoughts about your wild, wild story. But be careful how much meat you eat, because I had to get kidney stones removed after going on keto, because I doubled my usual meat intake after throwing out my carbs out of my diet. The allergy to them was killing me, so I had to stop eating them, but I had no idea that meat elevates your uric acid. And I experienced some of the worst short-term pain in my life when I had that stone removed. So be careful with your diet. As for the church girl you got pregnant over and over again, she was a master manipulator, because she saw that you wouldn't leave her when you had that first kid with her. So she figured that it would probably work again if she tried the same trick. In the end, you fell for it 3 times and decided to stay with her each time. So it was only natural that you followed the 4th time when the girl wasn't even yours. If you want to blame anyone for your MS and your allergies, then blame the woman that put you through hell. I think your story should be a warning for all the men out there that want to do the so-called right thing by marrying the wrong woman. I almost fell into the same trap for a year, minus the baby, with a church girl that I was seeing for about a year, in my early 20s. She tried to make me get her pregnant so that we would end up getting married. I didn't have sex with her and I left her. She found a different guy and got pregnant by him, and he decided to scram after saying wham bam thank you ma'am. She was still talking to me at the time and wanted to meet up again. Still to this day I wonder if she wanted to trap me with his baby. After all, why does an old girlfriend talk to an old boyfriend unless she wants to keep her options open? She told me that she had to get an abortion because the baby was lodged in her fallopian tube, and she couldn't have a kid like that. It would be too dangerous, said the church girl. A few years later she told me that she lied about that reason and that the abortion was done because her mother pressured her into it. Apparently her mother wasn't as religious as she was. What a joke. I find that women that claim they're Christians quite often hide their bad qualities behind religious virtues. I bet the same women today that adopt orphans from third world countries to show how noble they are were the same women that were the ones in the front of the church pretending to take everything the priest has to say seriously, and then attack anyone that doesn't follow the scriptures the way they're outlined. Meanwhile, they spend their extra testicular activities and time getting banged by the priest, the man of God. If you're too busy attacking others for their bad behavior, then they're too busy defending themselves to go after you. It's a trick where you project your own misdeeds on others so they can't accuse you of them first. It's too bad it took you a quarter of a decade to finally figure this out, that you made a really big mistake. At least you get another 30 years to live on your own, and you got to reproduce with a woman that likes to take strange swing-schwangs up her oversized caboose. You also put your wife in charge. That's like putting Peggy Bundy in charge of Al Bundy's prized football shirt. She was stealing from you and you didn't even know it because you trusted her. Then you let her do it again when she fudged the numbers and stole another $10,000 from you. It's like that George W. Bush line, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, and then he thinks about what to say next and doesn't remember the line, and unintentionally comes out with something better by blurting out, if you fool me, I can't get fooled again. Enjoy the President Bush bloopers in the description. I bet you feel a little bit like George W. at a time like this. As you mentioned, once you took over money management, all your money problems went away. The saddest part about your story is as you mentioned, that the stress she caused you throughout your lifetime, which probably contributed to your disability. But even with your health problems, living alone in a wheelchair-accessible home is still better than living with your ex-wife. Your allergies were also probably triggered by stress. It's usually what happens with autoimmune disease. Mine were triggered by stress too. A sensitivity usually becomes a full-blown allergy, and most doctors won't tell you that stress contributes greatly to many of her health conditions. She was also stupid enough to have threesomes and take pictures of the act for you to find. She probably thought to herself that you were too stupid to find those pictures, and that even if you find them, you would still accept her debauchery, which you did. You took in a daughter which wasn't yours. A woman that abuses you and disrespects you in so ways, and she probably thought you'd never leave, or kick her out. And in the end, you kicked her and her bastard daughter out the door. Does she really think that she can go out there now and find a man that she can abuse more than you? Or does she just figure she can get more money from some other guy out there if she puts her fat floppy bottom on the market and try to reel in a rich simp or something? Anyways, just before I end this video, I want to discuss some of the shenanigans that YouTube is pulling because the Brave browser is growing. It now has 16 to 17 million monthly active users. I think that YouTube is pissed because when you watch YouTube videos on the browser, they're now putting a couple of minutes worth of ads in front of the videos that you can't skip. I think they're pissed off that they have to serve ads without getting paid for them. If it wasn't bothering them, then they probably wouldn't be doing it. It's like they're saying that if you don't use our browser with YouTube, we're going to make your life hell. If anyone else notices this, please let me know. My solution is already to watch most of the content I consume on BitChute. If you see the ads, just refresh the page once or twice, and they'll usually disappear. Anyways, that's it for today. Thanks again to Mr. Anonymous for the donation as well as the topic. Don't forget to smash the like button the way that your wife got smashed by two guys at the same time and took pictures of her adventures. Bang the bell and check out the MGTOW mystery link. Follow me on BitChute, Twitter, and Facebook to get tomorrow's video today. Subscribe to me on Minds, Gab, and MGTOW.tv to get the video for the day after tomorrow. This channel's been demonetized, so if you want to get back at corporate censors, demonetize them by taking away their ads by installing the Brave browser. Link is down below. It also helps me out and you get cryptocurrency for viewing ads as well. You can also help me out through Subscribestar. Thanks for taking your daily dose of red pills, and remember, a red pill a day keeps a quarter of a century of marriage trapped by a church girl that turned fat and started sporting a fupa and fanny pack away. So enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers. Now you can order and pay for dolls through 6 easy monthly payments so long as your credit is approved. Francesca is the favorite of many guys. How about Xena? She's certainly going to make your life full of wonder. You can also play patty cake with Jessica Rabbit if you prefer. Maybe this Tinkerbell will make you swell. Their futanari attachments also fit most dolls. If you have to ask about that, then it's not for you. What are you waiting for? It's time to trade shekels for some silicone jigglies. So lifelike you'll want to take all of them for a ride on your swing swang. Check out the YouTube channel as well as the website down below.